As he said, my name is Untitled Chapter. I'm one of the founders and managing directors of BAM Concepts, and we are working to launch Blade Max. It's time to rethink shaving. So how many of you in this room actually use a razor, whether you're a male or female? Can I see a show of hands, please? Okay, the majority. Now, those of you that raise your hands, how many of you have had that bad shaving experience, like you see in this picture here, where one day you're shaving, it works okay, the next you may get a razor burn, a cut, or something very undesirable happening to you? Okay, I think almost just about everyone can relate to that. So at that point in time, when that happens, statistically, it's been shown that 95% of consumers believe that the razor has become dull at that point, and it's time to replace it or throw it away, get a new one. And that is exactly what the razor manufacturers want you to think, but I can tell you that is not the truth. Let me explain. So after about a few weeks, this is what a razor will look like under the microscope. And I apologize if the lighting, you can't see it completely clear. But what happens is your tap water has a lot of contaminants, more specifically minerals. And after you rinse your razor between each use, as those minerals dry, they crystallize and they form these little miniature looking like stalagmites that you can see here, if you look closely, where it says deposits. That is the number one reason you experience the tugging, the pulling, and the tearing, and ultimately the cuts with your razor after a few weeks. Because think about it. This is stainless steel. Your hair is not going to wear it out and make it dull in just a matter of weeks. In fact, it will last easily 6 months to 1 year. Another problem is once you have these deposits, it harbors moisture. Eventually, it will rust, it will pit, and it also harbors bacteria, which is not something that's very good for us to have to deal with. This is the solution that Blade Max brings to the table. This is a razor after 4 months of use, being treated every single day. As you can see, it's a completely different picture. What you have here is a preserved, sharp, consistent razor, and even very importantly, it is disinfected between every single shave. We'll get to that in just a minute. So how does this happen? So we have developed a patent-pending liquid-based technology that actually has been developed to specifically target the mineral contents in tap water and shaving cream, so it more or less absorbs it, flushes it away, and leaves behind a first shave sharp razor for every use. So it pretty much prevents the buildup of those deposits that I just pointed out to you and eliminates them from ever happening. The beautiful thing about this technology is because it's liquid-based, it will work with any brand razor, whether you're a male or female user. What are some of the additional benefits? So now that you're preserving your razor and you're keeping it first shave sharp for a long period of time, you can actually get a 6x extended life of your razor. That means no matter what brand you use, you can get a minimum of 4 to 6 months use out of your razor, as if it's brand new out of the package, minimum. I actually am on month number 9 on my particular razor, and I have some beta testers in here that have been testing the same thing for 4 or 5 months now as well. Because now you're extending the life of your razor, you can now reduce your reoccurring cost of replacing the razors or the razor cartridges. So now you can save at least up to 40% of your cost every year, or roughly $75. So another big benefit. Because, as I mentioned, the razor is now disinfected because of the solution, you now will reduce the irritability, the rashes, and the bumps that you may typically get, whether it's on your neck or your leg, by at least 30%. Finally, most people don't realize this, but after diapers, razors and razor cartridges are the second highest contributors to landfill waste, and guess what? They're not recyclable. Over 2 billion of them are tossed away every year in this country. So we can make a positive impact on that as well. Yeah, so this is what the system looks like. So the liquid-based technology is one thing, but then we wanted to create a system where it's no extra work for the consumer. This is the docking station that we are developing that has been designed to be as small of a footprint as possible. It will engage automatically once you deposit your razor into it. And I want to let you know that the razor never soaks in this solution because that would not be hygienic. It actually gets dispensed every time you put it in. You use it. And speaking of dispensing, you have 4 months supply in this front area here that is a reservoir. That's a replacement cartridge. After 4 months, that will be used up and a new one will come in the mail on a subscription basis, and you just swap it out in the front of the system. And we will take the old one back and put it into a recycling program to, again, do something else to help the environment. The retail price for this will be $40. The replacement cartridges will be $12. So basically, you'll be shaving with your favorite razor for $3 a month. We have a huge market potential here. So globally, it's $7 billion and growing. In the US, it's $2 billion. We have looked at our attributes that we bring to the table, whether it's the environment, whether it's your skin health, and we've been able to identify of the 150 million Americans that 16% we feel we can influence with this product. That equates to roughly 21 million consumers, or a $320 million market potential in the United States alone. I won't get too much into our team, but this is the scientist behind the invention of the liquid technology. I will bring the corporate discipline into the operations, and Mike has been a business advisor and partner as well since the beginning. And I'd like to end on the note that we are now in the middle of raising $870,000, and that will go towards things like finishing the product development, patents, some additional trademarks. The remaining balance of $600,000 will be for all the startup costs like growing inventory, working capital, and things of that nature. So we're looking to relinquish 24% of equity for this amount of money in our company. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Want to go for it?
Yeah, great presentation. The first thing that I took away from it was that the pain point is really clear, and the solution is really innovative. I think, clearly not many other people are approaching it this way, and then the reducing waste is fantastic. Talk to me a little bit about what kind of traction you've had. Have you done any beta tests? I mean, I'm interested to see, you might not have the full product ready yet, it looks like, in a sophisticated form, but have you done any tests with just the solution, for example, with consumers?
Great question. So yeah, the solution has been available for over 1 year now. It's patent pending, as I mentioned. So we've been able to conduct some beta tests literally in a spray bottle to where we give it to consumers. So we've done a beta test of over 30 people here locally. We've interviewed hundreds of people just from events like this. Also have done a survey nationwide of over 200 potential consumers, all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast with different demographics to get their initial feedback on the philosophy of this product. But I can tell you that the beta testers, and a couple of them are in here in this room, the feedback has been very positive. So with all the questions, at the very last question for each survey that I asked, there was a rating between 0 to 4, and I've been averaging 3.5 out of 4 in terms of the effectiveness of the benefits that we speak about, them experiencing that firsthand, and so forth. So we have some good data, but our next step is to try to get some of this data a little bit more on a macro scale. And then secondly, once the docking station is finished in terms of prototypes, which will be this summer, we also want to conduct several focus groups to see how the interaction is with the product and the potential consumers to get some additional feedback on that as well. So that's kind of where we stand today.
Yeah, good job overall. I think you hit on the vast majority of things that you'd want to see ultimately in a pitch. And I agree, I thought you got to the problem relatively quickly. I mean, I'd love to see a little bit more of a quantification of the problem up front. So it's, hey, we all have this problem. We throw away our razors too soon. How much does that cost the average American, right, in a given year, just to help me put that into context. But overall, I thought it was good in terms of getting to the problem, talking about the benefits, having the pieces on there. I think from a 5-minute perspective, you got to move a little bit faster from problem into the other parts. Oftentimes the problem is something we try to get pretty quick, and what we really want to know about is like team, right? Which is one that you kind of went through super fast. So team is super important at this point for me as an investor. So I'd say spend more time on the team. The other is, one thing that was missing was how you're going to make money. Like, is this a direct-to-consumer? Are you planning on selling it through a retailer or a distributor? Like, exactly how are you going to bring it to market? That's something that I'd want to know. But overall, I'd say, I usually look for 8 different things in here, and I saw 6 out of 8, right, in some form, which is pretty good.
Great. Thank you.
Sure.
Cool. Hey, Attila. Good job, buddy. Yeah, I think a couple things. So your product looks super cool. I love the design. A thought potentially is to, I know you're at the prototype stage, right? So you can make them look in different colors. I thought would be interesting. My question is, so 870 out of the gates is like a huge amount of money, right? How much would it cost you to create a usable MVP version of the product?
Right. So these two sections, so the 270,000, this first portion, pretty much is to have an MVP, some of the things. The bigger chunk is more or less to have operations set up, meaning a physical location, hiring a few staff, having starting inventory for when you launch, all these things. So, and that adds up very quickly. But to really have something to go to market and say, hey, we've got a product, that's what this first chunk of $270,000 is for.
Yeah, cool. I would focus on that and not on, you're not hiring anybody. You're gonna have to make something, you know what I mean, and sell it. And do you know, well, there's a guy here you should meet who's literally doing it from here, you know, and he figured out a way to outsource to get something out first and has built on that, you know, for several years. And the other thing, I think you have a beautiful opportunity to make your problem statement like way bigger and way more gross, right? And I think because like your additional benefits, I think are the benefits, if that makes sense. And so like it would be interesting to tie those when you're doing your problem, bam, 2, 3, 4, bam, because bam concepts. And then when you hit the additional benefits, like I saw that as a problem. Like I think is unbelievably gross to think about, you know, bacteria on a razor on your skin, right? That's gross. Thinking about like pitted, rusty blade on your body is horrible, right? And you have I think you could really amp that up because that is what you're selling here. You can be gross and put awful metal on your skin that's like tears it or whatever, or, you know, bam, like your thing. So, yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. Do you know what it would cost you to make like an MVP? Like something that I could have it, 10 of us could take it home.
Yeah, so we're hoping to have that in June or July. So some of the beta testers we've used so far and others that are interested, we're hoping to be in a position to hand out some of these systems for some more trial uses. I think our target cost for mass production will be $6.50 per unit. So I think for the first MVP, you could easily say it'll be triple that.
Not to me, this consumer, how much would it cost you to make one? Or make 10 of them?
Oh, make 10 of them?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at 10, but our target price is $6.50. But that's when you have economies of scale and efficiency. So it'll probably be at least $30 to $40 to $50 in the beginning to make a few, of course.
Okay.
Because they're probably to be 3D printed to a certain extent and all that.
Interesting. Yeah, I would focus on that. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be my first raise. Give me the money so I can make this thing and get it in a few bathrooms. Does that make sense? Yeah,
and quite frankly, our focus is this right now. I've been having differing strategies in mind, whether to lump it all together or not, but I take your point.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, man. Great. I liked it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Any other questions, comments?
We got 2 minutes, time for a couple more?
Yes, sir.
Picking up with what the gentleman said over there, how do you plan to sell it? Like through Target or Amazon or Vail or what?
So our goal is to go via e-commerce, and so focus heavily on things like digital marketing, social media, press, word of mouth. But we also realize that the CAC or customer acquisition cost for a product like this is very expensive early on. So one of the things we're looking to do is to perhaps partner up with a brand that would have an interest in putting this into their portfolio that already has a large consumer base so that our own CAC costs are relatively low, and we can focus on the profitability going straight back into generating additional products and more momentum on other marketing activities. So it'll be all e-commerce based the first couple of years, and then we feel that once the brand recognition is high enough, we may be having some retail channels come to the table and talk to us about potentially going into those markets as well. So, yes, sir.
So, quick comment and question. I think you said that your beta testers were like using a spritz bottle to get it. I've struggled with shaping all my life, and I'm already in love with this. If you could bottle that solution in like a squeezy bottle, like your bed that's what you're using, I'd give you $20 for a regular subscription to that, like right now.
Yeah, I got some in my trunk.
So I mean, just take that into consideration
Yep.
because there's tons of people I think that would be willing to buy that spritz bottle right now. And the question is, do you have any competition in this marketplace?
No, not in terms of with this efficacy. So everyone else that's out there is only a few, always address moisture as being the culprit. Remember, we are dealing with stainless steel, albeit it's not like the same grade you have on kitchen knives. It will not rust or pit for at least months before, it'll take months before you get to the point of rusting. So that is a secondary and beyond effect. The number one leading problem is always these deposits, which do harbor moisture, and that kind of accelerates the rusting part a little bit more. But they're addressing moisture, so they're not going to the true culprit, which is the deposits, and that's what we are addressing. So no one with the same efficacy, and that's why we feel good about the space that we're going into.
Great.